Okay, so welcome to E3 2010. We're here in the LucasArts booth, and we are talking with
Daniel Erickson. I'm the lead writer on The Old Republic.
Fantastic. And so we've found out a lot of things today. Specifically, there's been a big focus on player interactions and how group play works together. We were able to see earlier the first live demo of group play against NPC targets. Would you like to go in a little bit, kind of the system and the design that you're looking for? There's a lot of questions out there about Trinity system and healing and tanking and things like that.
Yeah, I guess when we really talk about it, when we first started, we really wanted to make sure that we respected the things that made parties work strongly together, but we didn't end up locked into a hard Trinity system. One of the big reasons that we went for the advanced classes and allowed people to take very different routes with each of the character classes was to give a broader range than just the straight healer, tank, hey, I'm going to be the DPS guy. And the big part for it, today we actually were showing that the core dynamics are still there, and so that you guys actually got to see them saying, like, okay, this guy's playing tank, this guy's playing this. What you didn't get to see was companion characters coming into the mix. And companion characters can basically be used to amplify or soften what role you're taking, right? So if you're going to come in and play your tank guy, but you're going to bring your healer companion character, it's much, much different than if you were going to play tank and bring in another tank with you. Or if you were going to say, one of the favorite routes is actually, of course, to play super DPS guy and to bring your DPS companion as well, and to just be the massive, massive damage dealing team. Same way, I tend to be the guy who plays a lot of priests, I tend to be the guy who plays a lot of healing roles, and I very much like I'm going to be the healer, I'm going to go through and make myself the super healer, and I'm going to bring my healing companion, right, and we're just going to be a medical ward.
So, in regards to today's, what we saw was 4 players on a single team, one of each one of the Republic classes. You're mentioning companion characters now that integrate into groups. Will we be able to see a 1-to-1 ratio? If it's a party of 4 PCs, will there be 4 PCs and 4 companions, or do companions take up player slots?
No, everybody would be bringing their companions with them.
Okay, so an optimal team would be like 4 players, 4 companions.
Correct.
Okay, so that would lead into a lot of dynamics in regards to what you're talking about.
Absolutely, and a lot of discussions of, hey, we thought we were going to have a group that stacked like this, but we didn't. Maybe we don't have our healer that night, so instead, hey, why doesn't everybody grab their healing companion? And you know what? We're probably still going to be able to run this thing.
Right, so supplementing the group composition through the companions.
Either in what you want to do personally or what your group is sort of missing and you guys decide as a group you're going to do.
Okay, sticking with the multiplayer combat that we saw in the demo just a second ago, one thing that's a little more class specific, you had the smuggler being in a cover position, doing a lot of covering fire and assisting. In addition, he used one of his advanced class abilities to heal.
Correct.
The group. However, all the characters, 3 of the characters on the group, including the smuggler, were level 8. Is this purely for demo purposes, or is
purely for demo purposes? Not indicative at all of where you'll get your advanced classes or the powers you would have at that ability.
So no hints on that yet?
No.
Okay, can't blame a guy for asking.
Yeah, but absolutely not indicative in there.
Okay. One of the things that you also covered in there was the player ships that we learned about very recently. We learned a lot about how they're designed towards a meeting place and a gathering place for you and your friends and your companions. Can you go a little more in depth on how it works into the game?
Sure. Well, the stuff that we've talked about so far, and obviously we've just shown the first couple, so we know that there is a ship for every type of class. So you guys got to see the Sith ship, you guys got to see the Jedi ship, there is a trooper ship, there is a smuggler ship, and they're all different and they're all unique inside. Very, very cool. They work very much in the Ebon Hawk model from KOTOR is actually a very good example. Your companion characters live there, you've got personal space, obviously it's an MMO, so you can actually, it needs to be an actual environment that you can be social in. That's really as far as we've gone so far. There's been a whole lot of other things sort of lighting up the boards right now, and a few people who've made some actually fairly facetious announcements. Everything beyond that, at this point, is pure speculation.
Okay, good to know. Well, in regards to the fact that it is a ship, and it would go too far, I think, to call it player housing, but there is kind of this it's yours. You customize it. It's your
Absolutely.
thing. Since it is a ship, this would travel with you from planet to planet.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you'd always have
This is your means of getting around. Once you've got a ship, then you've got the galaxy, and you can say like, okay, I kind of want to go anywhere I want.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned customization. That's a huge part of your focus, all the marketing we've seen with the Old Republic. You mentioned that each class will get their own ship. Anything, and you actually mentioned during the demo that all the ships would be customizable so that everyone looks, so that one smuggler ship is not identical to another smuggler ship in regards to how you can work with the things that go with it, or is that?
I think that's actually, and I think that's where some of the speculation got thrown out there, is because we did 2 demos back to back. We did the demo on the ships,
right,
and then we did the demo on class customization, and people merged them in their brains.
Good to know. It's that
Interesting that you just
clarification.
came out and you got it as well. Yes, we've actually made no announcements or no discussion about ship customization.
That's fantastic. That's good to know. Another focus was we mentioned yesterday, or during the EA press conference yesterday, that Alderaan is going to be the first war zone, as
Correct.
it's titled, for PvP combat.
Yes.
It's going to have a war zone. Could you go a little bit more into depth into how this setup is going to be integrated into the game like the ships were integrated?
Unfortunately, we can't. The war zones are something that there's a lot of different ways to get somebody to a war zone. Do you want to do it through physical space? Do you want to let people teleport? Are we going to let people queue in? Are we going to do all that? Those are all game design decisions that we have to have a population in there and pushing. We've obviously got some ideas, but the answer that nobody ever likes is we're going to go with the way that ends up working the best for our game.
Of course. But you can say that it is an independent, an instanced zone. It's a distinct zone.
Correct. It is a distinct place that you can go and play this controlled experience with multiple people.
And in the same theme that goes along with that, how it's a specific instance zone, are we going to be seeing specific game types linked to the zone? So like objective-based combat or deathmatch or capture the flag? Or is the zone, do we know if the zones are going to be focused on a single objective type of gameplay, or are they just broad PvP?
We actually
islands?
do not know at this point,
Okay.
because again, we're playing with a whole bunch of different ideas. Obviously, there's a lot out there to draw from, and so it's got to be a base between, okay, how many of these are we going to have? What side of stuff works the best? And the big one is we're really just getting into doing all of our multiplayer testing and our multiplayer fun, and that's going to determine what we choose to do with our multiplayer combat.
Of course. Makes a lot of sense. Then the other thing that goes with that, and this is kind of overarching to go with everything we've talked about so far, is, especially since we've got you here, the story about the Old Republic is a key and integral part, the fourth pillar. You know, that's the thing that
We
everyone...
have story.
We have story. There you go. I know all of our users are going to want to hear that again. But the way that we hear about the advanced class choices, the player ships, the PvP combat, is there any extrapolation you could do on how the story is integrating with that in regards to you get your ship at a certain story-based time, or your advanced class is based on a certain story-based issue? I mean, how does that all weave together?
All of our stuff, of course, comes from the story setting and the concept. So yes, your ships are going to be something that, like, they're not just going to appear. Your ships have a story basis. They are coming from an actual story point. Everything that we do with our classes obviously has to be presented. You know, if you look at any other role-playing game, it's how you'd expect it to be.
So in the PvP, have you guys given any consideration, or do you have any information about how that pervasive story atmosphere is integrated into the PvP, or at the moment is
yes,
it...
but not anything we've talked about, unfortunately.
All right, you can't blame a guy for trying
Again,
again.
it's got to get tested a lot.
Okay.